smelly cat, what are they feeding you? Smelly cat, it's not your fault.
The first step of the dissection was to skin the cat. The skin is made up of 3 layers, each serving a different purpose. The epidermis, or the most superficial layer of the skin, is the first line of defense for the body. It is made up of several layers of squamous epithelium. The uppermost layers of the epidermis are made entirely of keratin, a fibrous protein that hardens and waterproofs the skin. These layers are constantly shedding in order for the skin to regrow and heal. The next layer, the dermis, provides the structure and resilience to the skin. It is primarily made with collagen. Collagen is what gives the skin strength and flexibility. Inside the dermis, there are blood vessels, lymph vessels, nerves, and mast cells. Also residing in the dermis are the hair roots of all the cat's fur. The final and deepest layer of the skin is the subcutaneous, or the hypodermis. This is the fatty layer below the skin that helps insulate the body and maintain a constant body temperature. Also noticeable as we were skinning the cat was the presence of connective tissue. Connective tissue is found in between the other tissues of the body. Its purpose is to support, connect, and separate different tissues. We had to cut through the layers of the connective tissue on the cat's body to remove the skin. Additionally, our cat had a great deal of adipose tissue, which is a form of connective tissue, around the mammary glands that we had to remove. After removing the skin and the superficial connective tissue, we moved on to identifying the muscles. The first area we dissected was the femoral region. With the quadriceps, gracilis, and the adductors, this group is fundamental to hip rotation and flexion, as well as knee extension. The muscle group that works in opposition to the femoral region is the hamstrings. This region contains the biceps femoris, the soleus, the gastrocnemius, the semitendinosus, and the semimembranosus. This group of muscles extends the hip and flexes the knee. Moving up the cat's body, next comes the abdominal region. Located between the ribs and the pelvis, this region supports the trunk of the body and is responsible for posture. The transverse abdominals are the deepest layer and help maintain internal abdominal pressure. The rectus abdominis run vertically along the anterior midline of the body and are responsible for the flexion of the lumbar spine. Both the internal and external obliques are responsible for the rotation of the torso. Next comes the thoracic, or the chest region. Containing the pectoral muscles, the latissimus dorsi, and the xiphohumerales, this area is responsible for the rotation, movement, and support of the shoulder and arm. Right after that comes the dorsal, or the back region, and is made up of the trapezius and the deltoid muscles. The trapezius retracts and depresses the scapula. The deltoid abducts, flexes, and extends the shoulder. In the arm, the 2 major muscles are the triceps brachii and the biceps brachii, which flex and extend the arm respectively. Lastly, we dissected the throat. The digastric muscle opens the jaw. The mylohyoid is responsible for elevating the tongue and the hyoid, while the sternohyoid depresses the hyoid bone. The sternothyroid is the deepest muscle in the throat.
The pancreas is a part of the endocrine system which consists of glands that have no ducts and secrete their secretions directly into the bloodstream. The pancreas is located under the stomach where it meets the duodenum. The pancreas secretes the hormone insulin. Its main job is to lower blood glucose levels and promote the formation of glycogen. The adrenal glands are located on top of both kidneys. The role of the digestive system is to break down food into smaller molecules that the body then absorbs. The food enters through the mouth, which breaks down the food through chewing and saliva. The food then goes through a tube called the esophagus. The esophagus is a muscular tube that carries the food from the throat to the stomach. The food is pushed down in the tract through an involuntary muscle movement called peristalsis. The next and most well-known star of the digestive system is the stomach. The stomach is made of thick tissue and lined with a protective mucous membrane. Within the membrane are glands that produce gastric juices. The gastric juice contains an enzyme called pepsin, which digests proteins, hydrochloric acid, and mucus. The hydrochloric acid in the stomach, as well as the gastric juices, maintain very low pH levels to help kill off any bacteria that enters with the food. Next is the small intestine. It's broken up into 3 parts. The first part, right after the stomach, is the duodenum. This is where bile and pancreatic juices enter the intestine. The jejunum is located between the duodenum and ileum. It's covered in projections called villi, which increase the surface area of the tissue to help absorb more nutrients. The last part of the small intestine is the ileum, which absorbs vitamin B12 and bile salts. It's also covered in villi. After the small intestine is the large intestine, which extends from the end of the ileum to the anus. It's separated into the ascending colon and the descending colon. The large intestine's job is to mostly absorb water and any leftover nutrients from the small intestine. There are trillions of bacteria, yeasts, and parasites living in our intestines. In between the folds of the intestine is a thin layer of film that holds the intestines together called mesentery. The nervous system is comprised of 2 different parts. The central nervous system is the brain and the spinal cord. The peripheral nervous system consists of the network of neurons that run throughout the body. The central nervous system is located in the center of the body. The spinal cord relays signals and responses between the brain and neurons. The neurons then send the response from the brain to other cells such as muscle cells, causing them to act upon it. The radial nerve relays signals to the upper arm, and the ulnar nerve travels from the wrist to the shoulder and helps in the movement of the hand. The median nerve controls the muscles in the forearm. The dorsal thoracic nerve supplies to the abdominal wall and the buttocks. The femoral nerve supplies to the thigh, and the saphenous nerve supplies to the skin on the inside of the leg. The sciatic nerve is the largest in your body and connects to the spinal cord with the outside of the thigh, the hamstring muscles, and muscles in the lower leg and feet. Your common fibular nerve controls your hamstring muscles and helps flexes the knee, and your tibial nerve branches off the sciatic nerve and moves the lower leg and foot. The function of the cardiovascular system is to transport nutrients, oxygen, and hormones to cells throughout the body, and the removal of metabolic wastes. The main organ of the cardiovascular system is the heart. It's a hollow muscular organ about the size of a fist, responsible for pumping blood throughout the body. Arteries carry blood away from the heart, and veins carry blood to the heart. Capillaries are the smallest, and their job is to connect arteries and veins. The superior vena cava carries deoxygenated blood from the upper half of the body to the right atrium of the heart. The inferior vena cava carries deoxygenated blood from the lower half of the body to the heart. The left subclavian vein empties blood from the upper extremities and carries it back to the heart. The subclavian arteries branch to the vertebral arteries, which carry oxygenated blood up to the brain from the base of the neck. The abdominal aorta supplies oxygenated blood to all of the abdominal and pelvic organs as well as the legs. The femoral arteries and veins supply blood to and from the legs, and the superior mesenteric vein transports blood from the small intestine and the large intestine and feeds blood throughout the intestines. External stimuli causes signals in the form of electrical impulses to reach the dendrites of cells. Because of unequal distribution of ions on the 2 sides of a nerve cell membrane, there is an action potential established across the cell membrane, allowing the signal to pass through and for a response to occur.